Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really extraordinary journey, one that's going to completely transform your relationship with the most persistent companion you have ever known. Yep, I'm talking about the voice inside your own head. We're unpacking world-renowned neuroscientist and psychologist Ethan Kross's groundbreaking strategies to harness your inner monologue. Let's get right into it. I mean, think about it. Have you ever just laid awake at 3 o'clock in the morning replaying some totally awkward conversation over and over again? Or maybe right before a big presentation, instead of feeling confident, this inner critic just starts whispering that you're going to fail? Look, we all have this internal monologue, but what actually happens when it turns against us? So here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll meet your inner voice. Second, look at the true cost of chatter. Third, explore strategies to shift your perspective. Fourth, learn how changing your external environment helps. And finally, becoming the mind's conductor. All right, part one, meet your inner voice, the biological purpose of your internal monologue. So your inner voice is actually this incredible biological feature. It's what lets you run rapid verbal simulations, control your impulses, and just self-regulate on the fly. But there's a catch. Under stress, that super helpful inner voice turns inward, and it starts hyper-focusing on threats. It happens when our constructive inner dialogue kind of spirals into this destructive, repetitive loop of worry, anxiety, and self-doubt. Ethan Kross actually calls this exact phenomenon chatter. It's a real Jekyll and Hyde situation. On one side, your constructive inner voice is lightning fast. It's helping you solve problems, plan out your day, evaluate your choices. It's a massive asset. But on the flip side, toxic chatter is an exhausting vulnerability. It literally traps you in these endless worry loops, zapping all your energy and completely ruining your focus. The crazy part? It's the exact same biological mechanism, it's just stuck in the wrong gear. Which brings us to part two, the true cost of chatter, the cognitive and physical toll. Listen, negative self-talk isn't just some harmless mental nuisance. The toll it takes is actually severe. Cognitively, it completely clogs up your working memory, killing your focus and just ruining your ability to make good decisions. Physically, constantly reliving those negative experiences keeps your body's stress response active 24/7. It floods your system with cortisol, sparks inflammation, and absolutely destroys your sleep. And relationally, it makes us irritable and needy. We often end up pushing away the exact people who are just trying to support us. Let's turn things around. Part 3. Strategies to shift your perspective. Internal tools for mental clarity. Okay, so when chatter strikes, our first instinct is usually to dive straight into that emotional fire. But instead of asking, why am I overwhelmed, try shifting that to, why is your name overwhelmed? This is a technique known as distanced self-talk. By just switching from first-person pronouns like I or me to your own name or you're pulling this highly effective psychological trick on your own brain. It automatically adopts the perspective of an outside observer, which instantly reduces the emotional reactivity in your brain's fear centers. Suddenly, you start giving yourself calm, rational advice exactly like you would give to a good friend. And, this psychological distance doesn't just work for perspective. It applies to time, too. Think of it as a mental time machine, or what experts call temporal distancing. When you're panicked, your brain treats the situation like this unending do-or-die crisis. But if you project your mind forward, just asking yourself, hey, how will I feel about this in a week, or a year, or 5 years from now, that illusion completely shatters. You realize this massive, all-consuming problem is soon just going to be a distant memory. It shrinks that immediate panic right down to its true, manageable size, giving you the clarity to actually deal with it. Moving right along to part 4, changing your external environment, using the outside world to calm the inside. Here's the thing, our minds absolutely crave order and predictability. When chatter takes over, it feels like your whole life is just spinning totally out of control, right? But research actually shows that small, simple organizing behaviors, like finally clearing off that impossibly cluttered desk, or honestly just making your bed in the morning, send a real, tangible signal of order back to your brain. You're giving your anxious mind a physical sense of control, which immediately helps soothe all that internal chaos. Let's talk about where you spend your time. Modern environments constantly demand what's called directed attention. Staring at screens all day, navigating rush hour traffic, and that totally exhausts our prefrontal cortex. It makes us highly vulnerable to chatter. But nature offers something entirely different. It's called soft fascination. Just the gentle movement of leaves in the wind or the sound of flowing water effortlessly captures our attention, letting those tired cognitive centers rest and recharge. Plus, experiencing awe in nature, like looking up at a vast starry night sky, actually shrinks our ego. It makes our own internal anxieties feel tiny compared to the sheer vastness of the universe. Now, what about the people in our environment? When we're stressed, it is totally natural to want to vent, but venting can actually backfire big time into this destructive trap called co-rumination if the other person just sits there fueling your anger. To use social support effectively, you need a partner who does two specific things. First, they have to listen with warmth and empathy so you actually feel validated. But crucially, step 2, they need to gently step back, help you reframe the situation, and pivot you toward constructive action. Because true support isn't just about complaining, it builds a clear path forward. So, to summarize the external toolkit, we've talked about establishing physical order, seeking awe in nature, and vetting our venting partners. But let's look a bit closer at designing daily rituals. A ritual is basically a predefined sequence of actions that you perform with symbolic intention. It could be a specific warm-up right before a big performance, or maybe mindfully brewing a cup of tea before a stressful meeting. If you truly believe a positive routine is going to help, your brain actually releases real neurochemicals to make that expectation a reality. You are, quite literally, physically altering your brain chemistry just through belief and structure. How cool was that? And finally, part 5, becoming the mind's conductor, reclaiming your mental focus. The fundamental truth at the core of Ethan Kross's research is this: your inner voice is ultimately there to serve you. You are absolutely not helpless against it, and you certainly don't need to try and suppress it completely. By tapping into this science-backed toolkit we've covered, using distant self-talk, doing a little mental time travel, stepping out into nature, and building daily rituals, you can actually transform your inner critic from a permanent threat into your greatest protector and guide. It's time to step right into the conductor seat and lead the symphony of your own mind. You now have the practical strategies to completely change the conversation happening inside your head. You understand the incredible biological feature that your inner voice truly is. So my question to you is, how will you choose to conduct the symphony of your mind today? The next time that 3 a.m. worry loop hits you out of nowhere, just remember, you hold the baton. Use it. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.